You get to sit with your friend while he watches you just basically like, I mean, right now you look like you're good enough to pretty much go to any red carpet affair. What else do you possibly need to do? That's what I'm trying to work out.
You know what? Literally, all of the like all the conspiracy videos I watch and all the murder mysteries I watch, it's always like the girls who I watch, they're always doing their makeup, and they're like 60-minute videos, and I do my makeup, so it's just sort of like you're listening to them, watching a little bit, and you're all doing your makeup together. Like it's quite nice. So I got ready today to a video about the Kardashians, but like sort of like their rise to fame and stuff like that. But usually it's like a murder mystery I get ready to, because they're doing their makeup too.
What conspiracy theories have you been having a look at lately?
Oh my god, I don't like John Titor or John Titter, I'm not sure how you pronounce it, but he's basically a time traveler. Well, he was a time traveler. If you've got Spotify, go on the Mile Higher podcast and just put John Titor, Titor, into it. I've listened to it about 2 or 3 times, and like, because this podcast is so in detail, I still can't remember all of it. Basically, he back when we had dial-up internet, that's when he was posting on forums, and he claimed he was from like the year 2030 or 2030 something, and he had to go back in time because he had to get a certain thing from a computer, and basically the world was like fucked. And yeah, it's good, and I'm there thinking, I fucking love time travel, like I want to be a time traveler.
That's fair enough. Do you believe in that stuff? Do you believe in like the concept of time travel, or is it more a fascination than anything?
You know what? I don't know. Like, I've got a massive imagination, so like any conspiracy theory, I'm open to, and I think my imagination runs wild over possibilities, because I'm sort of like, right, we've only ever explored like say 7% of the sea, so we don't actually know what's underneath there. We've only explored a certain amount of the universe, so we don't know what's out there. And then the same with like when you look at things like the ancient Egyptians, which is absolutely fascinating. And it's like I like, this is one thing I genuinely believe. I believe that before Christ, they literally had the best technology. I think that they were in touch with some sort of form of extraterrestrial life. And yeah, I think that their technology is way better than ours, and I don't know what happened to them, whether, you know, but even like when I've like seen videos and stuff, like apparently like in the tombs, like they had like their own form of electricity, and it's stuff that like daylight can even get in these tombs and stuff like that. It's just crazy. And how they built the tombs, how they just go in line with certain things, and how like they were able to like predict the sunrise times and stuff. It's just fascinating, because if you actually look into how they built the tombs, like I don't think people could do it now, especially with no vehicles, because these things weigh tons, and they would have taken like 15 or 20 years at least to build. So it's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, being Egyptian, obviously I'm always in awe of like the pyramids and things like that, but I'm not entirely. Do you believe in the theory of the first civilization? Like, you've kind of hinted on that. Like, one of the big things I noticed, like I like playing video games, shock. And on the Assassin's Creed games, the whole storyline is the idea that actually an alien race of sorts kind of existed, like a much more superior civilization existed before mankind, and the concept is that they left behind all the tools we needed to kind of reset and restart, but we haven't unlocked the same level of potential and technology that they have.
You know what, I think that's pretty spot on. I literally think it is. So I'm just looking at myself in the mirror. Am I vain looking at myself in the mirror? Just make sure I look alright.
To be fair, not many people are looking at my screen right now, mate, with all due respect. They should be looking at this beautiful graphic, to be fair, but they're not. They're
no, how hot is that graphic?
It is. I mean, it does have 2 exceptionally good-looking men in it, so that does help.
Fire. Like, that graphic is literally fire. And in my opinion, they are like 2 of the most talented guys in British wrestling. Obviously, I'm biased because Tiger Ali, I've known since I was about 15 years old, and I've trained with him. He's one of my best friends. And then RJ is a fellow Monarchy member. But he's amazing. Like, even when I valet RJ, like the other day I was valeting him, and I was like, oh my God, I learned this, and this off you. Like, just from close up, just seeing him and seeing what he does. Like, he's just got like a good eye for everything and just building a match, you know?
Yeah, and RJ's been, I mean, since like you say, like we're sort of a similar age, although obviously you've aged a lot better than I have. The bottom line is like RJ's one of probably the biggest veterans in our country that doesn't get the love. Like, you know how they talk about the Jodie Fleisch and the Johnny Storms, and those guys absolutely are fantastic, but RJ's right up there with them as somebody who, and not only that, RJ's about representation as well. He's about culture. He's about breaking barriers, you know, with the color barriers and things like that. And he doesn't get the love for that.
I remember seeing RJ on boot camp. God, how long ago was that? It was like 8 years ago.
TNA boot camp. Yeah, that's ages ago.
Yeah, and literally, like, even then, like, he just stood out. He was different. 100%. And I think as well, like, you know, it has broken the barrier for a lot more younger people to come through, regardless of ethnicity, and just know that they can be just as successful as someone like RJ. And he's such like there's no ego. Like, he's just willing to help anyone, to talk to anyone, you know, and that's just nice, isn't it?
I love wrestling societies. Like, they've got this huge like DNA of incredible ethnic diversity, like more than any other roster. You must be so proud of that, like, because you've put that together.
Well, obviously for me, like, I'm half Arab anyway, and my dad's from Libya, and Benham, who's from Iran, and Sammy, right, think Gambia. I think I'm right, Gambia. So they were like my closest friends long term anyway. Like, I've had like really close girl mates and stuff like along the lines, but like Sammy and Ben are people who've consistently been in my life throughout my entire career. So it just sort of happened that way. And then when I went with the monarchy, who was RJ Singh and Rishi Ghosh, it just sort of happened that all these talented people had different ethnic backgrounds. And it was just sort of like, you know, put us all together, bring Harry Singh in because he's amazing. And I remember watching Harry Singh a few times at Full Force shows thinking, why isn't this guy booked anymore? Like, why isn't this guy everywhere? And now he is starting to get everywhere. So I like always knew that I wanted Harry Singh. And I was like, you know, once again, a bit selfish, wanting to work with Harry Singh myself, so bring him into the monarchy, because I just thought it fitted well. Like, you know, he could sort of come across as like RJ's protege in a way, you know. So yeah, it just worked out that way to have so many different cultures. Like, it wasn't the plan, but it just worked out like that because it was just like sort of like we all came in line. Like, at the time when 4FW was closing, I was still really close to Sam and Benny, to Benham and Sam, Tiger Ali and Sammy. And then me, RJ Singh and Rishi wanted to stay in the monarchy, and 4FW was the only place we were doing the monarchy. So it just sort of all came in line.
Is there the possibility of like working for newer promotions and different promotions with that? Because I know me and you obviously are very proud of our Middle Eastern heritage, and we're kind of looking to branch out. We're working in London soon, which is pretty cool. Don't know how much we can talk about that. I'm very excited about that, just to put you over, if nothing else.
Are we not allowed to talk about that, or?
I don't know really. Like, I haven't announced it personally, so I'm kind of waiting on them to announce things before I say anything.
Yeah, I sent my stuff, but obviously it's not my bit's not been announced on social media. Should we keep it quiet and maybe talk about
It'll have people need something to look forward to in this world. So, but all you need to know is in July in London there'll be something very special coming for you.
I don't want to steal anyone's thunder as well.
Yeah, pay attention to Nadia's social media, because obviously nobody's paying attention to mine, but obviously,
of course they are. Like, literally,
everyone's paying attention to yours.
Day, and your podcast has something like 12,000 likes or followers. You know, on Facebook, is Facebook followers or likes? It's both, isn't it? Like the page.
It's got 21,000 likes. And
21, sorry. I've got the other way around, like not 12, 21.
Madness.
Yeah, something like that. And I was like, oh, wow, that's impressive, because, you know, like, not many people would want to just have me listen to me talk. I chat shit. But
it's quite funny, though, because, like, from a because you're like a personal brand as well as a professional one. Like, you have your own brand as well as obviously your own companies and stuff like that. But with me, for instance, like, I'm the same, but Like, I don't know, maybe I have 100 followers on Twitter or whatever. Like, don't really care. But WrestlePlug itself has a ridiculous amount of followers, which is why I find it
Yeah.
quite funny that, and I quite like that because it gives me a separation. Do you worry about people associating you with your brands too much? Like, obviously, where Wrestling Society is pretty much the spine of it is everything that you have created. Do you worry that people kind of associate Wrestling Society with you more so than they do just a great company?
I don't really want it to be associated with me as in the respect that it's Nadia Sapphire's promotion type of thing. For me, like I started training at a place called Forefront Wrestling, and it was I suffer from a disability called dyspraxia.
Yeah.
So dyspraxia was like balance, coordination, a few learning difficulties. I had really severe mental health growing up. And stuff like that. And the place where I was training in Wales just wasn't suitable. They were just sort of like, I'd be at the back of the class still trying to learn how to do something when they'd move on to something else. And when I came across for FW, the trainer at the time, David Sharp, would let me come half hour early or let me stay behind half hour late. And he'd sit there and he sort of like, help me. And he had a partner at the time called Cassie, and she was lovely. And she's the girl who I made my debut with. And also at these shows in Wales where I first met the 4FW guys, Dave Sharp could see what was going on. And obviously, like, speaking out type of stuff, like which came out, he could see what was going on. And he was just like, you shouldn't be training here. Like, you're a young girl. He started saying to me at training, like, don't wear low cut tops, wear a high top and stuff like that. And then he got his missus like sit there and talk to me and have a conversation about like, ring rats and stuff like that, because that's what I was being perceived as a 15-year-old girl. So obviously I was underage when certain older wrestlers were getting with me, but obviously they had that conversation with me because that's what I was perceived at from the age of 15. So for me, 4FW had a really close place in my heart because, as far as I'm concerned, they rescued me from that. They stuck up for me for all the bullying, the rumours. They gave me my debut when I was 16 years old. I moved to Swindon and trained full-time there for 2 years until I had my injury. And within that time, no guy at 4FW got pervy with me or tried on with me. They just like, it was like I was like their young little sister, and I just felt part of a family. There was lots of kids training there at that point as well. There was a woman called Angeline who was like my second mum. She had 2 sons who trained. One of them was Owen Phoenix, who ended up going to Japan and New Japan and stuff, and then stopped wrestling later on down the line. But yeah, so basically I had a really nice, it was like a family, and like we'd all do like family things. Like it was just lovely. We'd have a few of the guys come down from Michinoku, and we'd stay down for a few weeks or a few months, and we'd just all sort of do activities together, train together, and it was lovely. And it was just like, for me, it was like a family environment. And then obviously, that continued when I came back from injury. I stayed with FW throughout the years. We had new additions, some people left, some people came back, we had new people. And then the promoter, David Sharp, brought in people like RJ Singh, Soul Adams, Rishi Ghosh, people like that, who just sort of fitted in with the people we were. And it was like backstage was just so, there was no egos. Like I'd go to some shows and my anxiety would be through the roof. I'd literally be doing nervous shits every 2 minutes because of the anxiety. And like, people, like they were just dickheads backstage. And I'd go to a 4FW show and it'd be so lovely backstage and just so calm and so chilled. And I felt safe. It was my safe space. So for me, creating Wrestling Society was to create a new safe space for me and for the people who were in 4FW as well. Because unfortunately, a lot of people like Tiger Ali and Sami Sahin and the Saint, who are not out there, but they're wicked workers, and everyone who works or sees them wrestle, like, oh my God, why aren't these people booked? They're not clicky. And because they're not clicky, that's why they're not everywhere. But like, so it was just like to keep us guys together, as well as keeping together the people who we'd made friends with, like, RJ Singh and Rishi and the people who fitted in with us, and then adding other nice people to it as well, who I've met along the way throughout my years. Like, you know, people like Joey Scott and Harry Singh, who are just lovely people. And then like Chris Bronson and Chris Adams, who started training with 4FW a few years before 4FW went, who was like keeping us all together, but adding new people in, where the locker room would be a nice place. And the one compliment which we keep getting from our wrestlers is, this is a lovely place to work, and literally this is such a lovely locker room. There's no one's trying to outshine each other. Everyone's all for the show, and there's no egos. And that's, for me, that's like the main thing about, is just for, you know, no drama, no drama backstage.
Yeah, no, like I've done like obviously a little bit of work for you and stuff, which people can see online, and like just
A lot of
even that process is like very, very, very calm, very relaxing, very cool. We get on very well personally anyway, which is lovely. Like I liken it to, it's funny because you have Rishi there, and obviously that, you know, Rishi's the guy who first trained me. And like, not only was I being trained by someone with great diversity themselves, but I was also being trained by somebody who believed in those same morals and ethics of being a good person, being a good human being, being accessible, and actually having patience. And he showed a lot of patience with me when I first started. And you know, the fact that he's now kind of helping to sort of pass that on in your company as well, and I just think that's really cool. And obviously you've got a lot of love for quality as well. I've seen you working down there and training down there. Like Rishi's probably, is it fair to say Rishi's like one of the most important people you've had in your career so far?
Yeah, like Rishi's just, honestly, like Rishi's just the most lovely bloke ever. Like, I don't feel like this guy has a bad bone in his body. I don't think I've ever heard him bitch about someone. I don't think I've ever heard him swear. He's just lovely. And it's like, his personality outside of wrestling doesn't fit with your average wrestler, because most wrestlers are more cocky and bitchy and stuff. But Rishi's just lovely. Like, he's just such a lovely person. And yeah, he's always like been there. Like, if I ever need advice, if I ever need a phone call, he's there. And I feel, once again, comfortable going down to his training school, so traveling like, you know, almost 3 hours, because I know that when I go to Rishi, if I'm doing something wrong, like, he's not gonna laugh at me or be like, oh my god, Nadia shit, or oh my god, I can't believe you're on shows and you can't do this. He's gonna just go over it with me, and like, he'll always see the good as well, you know.
How do you feel overall, like at this point of your career? Like, I've noticed that you're not wrestling as much, but you're doing so much now. Like, you're so super crazy busy. Like, you know, I don't want to talk about it too personally, because obviously people watching aren't as privy to information as me, and they don't know you as well as maybe I do. But at the same time, like, you do so much. Like, are you kind of happy where you are, like not doing as much wrestling? Do you feel like you've done as much as you need to do from a personal standpoint in wrestling, as far as being just an individual wrestler?
You know what? I'm really happy with my life at the moment, and I feel really chilled. A few years back, I'd always be anxious about wrestling and be like, why aren't I getting booked here? Why isn't this happening? Like, you know, why can't I do this? And that was just not good for me. My dreams and ambitions in wrestling were totally different, say 5 or 6 years ago, to what they are now. And right now I'm just content. I'm really content with life. And I don't like to be wrestling 2 or 3 times a week like I was before lockdown. Like, before lockdown, the first lockdown, like 2019, my schedule for actual wrestling was crazy. I was like wrestling like 2-3 times a week in the UK, and then some weekends I'd be, say, in Germany or Austria or Brussels, or I went to Israel as well, and then I'd come back, fly into whichever airport, and then go straight to another show. And you know, I loved it. But now I'm at a different part of my life where I do love to be home. I love to spend time with my dogs. I love to spend time with my niece. I feel like friends and family are a lot more important. Like, when I was younger, I didn't care about missing kids' birthday parties or missing weddings or my friends' birthdays. But now I don't want to miss them. I enjoy going to them. And what I view as successful has changed. When I was younger, I used to think the only way you could be successful as a wrestler was literally if you go to WWE. And if you don't go to WWE, you're a failure. And that's what I tell myself, Nadia, failure, you're not in WWE. And now I think to myself, well, I probably make more than a lot of the people in WWE UK. I didn't mean to do a puff as in like put my thing up as it's like a puff as in like I'm thinking, you know, like that sort of. But yeah, like I probably earn way more than them. And I live off Nadia Sapphire. And I'm happy with that. I get to, you know, I'm so blessed. I do my gratitude all the time. It might not be the way some people agree with, but I agree with it and I'm happy. And, you know, I keep, you know, other aspects of my life different to my wrestling life. And I keep all three of my businesses separate to each other, you know, like everything's completely separate, even the bank accounts.
It's amazing that you've got like so many different avenues and entrepreneurial sort of endeavors, and yet you've been able to kind of balance them, and they're all really successful as well, which is awesome. But the thing that's really, I know you're obviously a little pressed for time because obviously you're not looking this good so that you can come on the Wrestle Plug. I'm aware of this. It's because Nadia is going to be going out and doing what she does best, which is, you know, painting the town red or blue, depending on how Cardiff wants to look at it. But you've got Wrestling Society and you've got shows coming up. I'm hoping to release this before the Portishead show, especially because I want people to kind of get to this show. I want people to go and see this, especially if you're in the kind of Southwest region, the Welsh region, Bristol, all that kind of area. Like, it's very easy to access this kind of wrestling and go and see it. Tell me a little bit about Portishead and obviously the other shows you got coming up as well.
So for me, Portishead was a venue that for FW used to run years ago. And it was actually one of my favourite venues because I loved the backstage, because in the backstage area, I know the fans don't go there, but in the backstage area, you sort of go down into the stage and there was like a massive female changing room, massive male changing room in the middle, female toilets, male toilets. And I love that because I hate sharing a toilet with the men. Like, it stinks of piss, shit, piss all over the seat. It's just disgusting, you know? And I like to just have like the toilet and relax. I can't like, you know, some people can squat over a toilet and their bum doesn't touch a seat. I can't do that. My bum needs to touch a seat, basically. So I love that venue anyway. So for me, it was like the first venue I went to. I thought, you know what, Portishead was great. It was a lovely little town, and it's sort of like no one's there. Like, people are in Bristol and stuff, but no one's there. And it's down the M5, but it's sort of like you have to cross over to get over to Portishead. Like, it's classed, like, I don't know if it's classed as Bristol, North Somerset, but it's sort of like, I call it the outskirts. And our first show sold out, and I couldn't believe it. I had to stop promoting the week leading up to the show, and I was like, fuck, did I over promote this show? And I was getting anxiety of having to turn people away. So our first show was amazing, and then I think the second show had about 40 less people. So it had 40 less people. I'm like, what have we done wrong? Like, just like, you know, shitting myself. But then, yeah, so this is the third show we're doing here. So basically we've got Tiger Ali versus RJ Singh, as on your screen. I'm doing that because I'm pointing to your screen. But that's for the junior heavyweight title. Now the 4FW junior heavyweight title has actually been held by Kenny Omega. Mark Haskins. Is a very prestigious title, hence why I wanted that title in Wrestling Society.
Like a who's who of wrestling, isn't it? Like,
yeah. It's been around for years, and that's in a no DQ street fight. We've also got 5 more amazing matches. One of them will be announced on Sunday or Monday, shall we say? Sunday, Monday. Aeron's
it'll be announced by the time you see this. Like, it would have already.
I'll be drunk by the time I see her. Like, what's this?
This will probably drop around Tuesday or Wednesday next week. So you'll still have time to get tickets if you want to go and watch the show. But obviously, so you know, check out Wrestling Society social media because everything will be out there by then.
It's all there. We've also got Harry Singh versus Joey Scott. That's a junior heavyweight #1 contender match for a future. Oh my god, I love how you get it up like that. So literally these two, that honestly, well, we've already spoke about Harry Singh, but Joey Scott is amazing. And these two, when these two wrestle each It's magic. I seen him in a fatal 4-way match before, and I was like, oh my god! Like, I was thinking, how do these guys remember all the stuff? And I think
That show we worked where they did the table spot. And, it's just mind blown by that.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
And I think Joey Scott mentioned to me, he's like, oh, we work each other all the time type of thing. And I'm like, yeah, you bloody should. Third match, we've got the Saints. You know what? I've got such a crap memory. I'm like, who's the Saint wrestling? Show me.
Let me show you. There you go.
There you go.
Who's that guy? Looks like Luther from AEW. Sorry, Sunset. He's going to kill me for that. You
I'm like, what is my own match card? So Sunset Skip made his debut for us on the last show. And honestly, I love to ski air. It was Leopard Prince. And I was like, we could tag in the future. He's wrestling the Saint. The Saint is the cornerstone of British wrestling. The Saint has actually wrestled on the UK Pro Wrestling Noah Tour, which was years and years and years ago. A lot of people don't know that. And the Saint's got a sick match coming up in our Cardiff event, which will be announced soon. And the Saint, he's just so good. And if you like hard-hitting action, the Saint will just beat the fuck into anyone. I'm trying to think what match. So that's great. Sami Zayn. Let's get Sami Zayn at next. Sami is literally our fan favourite at the moment. Sami is just, look at Sami's little face. How can you not love Sami?
He's the happiest guy in wrestling. Like when he comes out, I heard the biggest compliment about Sami recently, just in case he does watch this, a promoter that we're working with soon. He said to me that when he first came out, he didn't sort of think much of him. He just thought, okay, it's just kind of a big happy guy. Yeah. And then he saw him in the ring and he's a holy shit. Nobody moves or works like a guy of that size. Like he is spectacular.
I'll tell you a little story about Sami. So I met Sami when he was 10 years old. Wow. I'm actually 5 years older than him, so I would have been about 15. And Sami was this little kid, and he was literally started training when he was 10 years old. He was doing moonsaults at that age, flipping around, and he was only little. He was only little. And then obviously as he got older, he got bigger, but he carried on wrestling and doing that. So the agility just stayed there.
Natural to him, yeah, it's natural born talent. He just feels like a very natural wrestler when I watch him. I'm excited to see Tommy Kyle because I haven't seen as much with Tommy Kyle, and I know that he's somebody that you brought in for this show.
You know what?
Sorry, Karen.
Yeah. So Tommy Kyle was recommended to me by RJ, and I'm the sort of person I really trust RJ's judgment. So I think RJ sent me a highlight video or a YouTube video, and then I went off and I looked at Tommy Kyle's stuff, and I thought, wow, this guy is just like so different. I thought like he puts a cool little spin on a lot of the stuff he does in the ring, and I thought he's just different. And I thought like I just want him on our show because once again there's a bit of just diversity, and I think Tommy Kyle should be booked in a lot more places. So I thought, you know what, we'll book him.
Yeah, no, spot on. I mean, if you're going to take one person's word for it, RJ Singh is probably the one you're going to take.
Yeah, I literally trust him with everything. I'm literally if RJ Singh says this person's good, or RJ Singh says to book this person, I'm convinced. Literally. What's the next slide? So I think we've done four.
We've got this bad boy.
Oh, okay.
I love TJ Sky, so I'm always going to put him over.
Oh my god. Wasn't TJ Sky in that fatal 4-way as well?
It was. That was the first time I'd ever seen him wrestle, which for me was quite shameful because I really pride myself on knowing pretty much everyone. And I was like, wow, like this guy, crazy good. Like from an athletic standpoint, like even his entrance is more athletic than anything I've ever achieved in the ring. And yeah, no, he's just obviously everyone knows the Hunter brothers very well. That's Lee Hunter, who is like from a technical standpoint flawless, like a beautiful wrestler.
So TJ Sky's literally been around for like over 10 years, I'd say. And once again, just maybe it's because once again he's not in with the boys. So because he's not in with the boys, maybe he doesn't get noticed as much. But I'm just like, he's good. Like he's exciting. Like, people will love watching him. And then I was like, the perfect person for him to wrestle is Lee Hunter. I've never seen him wrestle Lee Hunter before, and I'd like to see it. And Lee, once again, is someone who I've travelled up to go and train with, because I just like him. He's a great person. Him and Jim have always just been so lovely to me. They've always helped me out in training, even before shows at 4FW. Like, we've got in the ring and just like done some stuff, and I love technical stuff. And they'll show me some new things they learned from seminars. And they're just really just lovely people, them two, and Clark Ward, the twins, who were on our last show in Swindon. They're just nice people who've been around for like 15, 20 years, possibly longer. And they're just lovely, and they're lovely to have on the show. They're lovely to have backstage. They know what they're doing. They can work heel or face. They're just like a great addition. Like Lee Hunter, like, is a great addition to any show, because Lee Hunter is so versatile. He can literally work an indie match. He can work a storyline match. He can work a camp show match. He can just do anything and everything. And he's such a sweetheart. He really is. I love Lee. I got a lot of time for Lee.
Lee's like I use the term 5-tool player, guys who can literally fill any spot and do it excellently. And there's not many guys left in our business that can do that. And Lee's one of those guys. If you haven't seen Lee Hunter, if you come into the show, or if you're thinking of coming to the show, Lee Hunter alone is worth the entrance fee. Like, he's somebody that you just kind of sit back and look at with just a great deal of awe and inspiration, because everything he does is so smart. I don't think I've seen him wrestle a lot. I don't think I've ever ssee him make a mistake ever. Like,
I don't think he does have to make a mistake.
I don't think he's allowed to. I don't think it's in his DNA.
He had a wicked main event match at our Swindon show against RJ Singh, and so people were so complimenting of that match, just like the build up and how it was. And that was the first time Lee had actually worked for us, just because of how the dates have worked out. And he came into that spot and he was amazing. I've got another great match for him at Cardiff, which I'm excited to announce very soon.
The Cardiff show looks fantastic, to be fair. I know that we can't announce the other match for this show because the graphic isn't available just yet, and you haven't dropped it yet. But obviously it's gonna include you, so you know that's worth the entrance fee alone, isn't it?
Save the best for last. Jokes.
I'm a little bit biased, but yeah, I'll say so. Yeah, no, like Rishi's like, what about me? I trained you, arsehole.
I know. Why aren't I on the podcast? Don't worry, Rishi. There's a reason you're not on the podcast, and you'll love it.
He's already been on twice, so he's fine. He's had his. You've got plenty of spotlight. You don't need.
He's had his thunder.
Yeah. It's time to get other guys on. I'd love to have like Tiger Ali and Sammy especially on, because I just feel like, I mean, Tiger Ali is literally, I remember the first time I saw him, and it was one of the very first times I ever saw a Middle Eastern wrestler other than like myself, who was trying to break in. And I was like, whoa, that's like a big deal to me, especially being Iranian and having family from that background. I was like, that's really cool. I'm always a little bit heartbroken that he doesn't wrestle everywhere, but obviously it's also his choice as to what he wants to do with his life, as long as he's happy.
Do you know something really nuts? You know, when he was 14 or 13 even, and he first started training, he couldn't even do a forward roll. And people would take the piss out of him. He couldn't speak much English either. His English was really bad. And people would take the piss out of him, and he never stopped. He never stopped training, and he stuck to it. And he finally made his debut at about 18, I'd like to say. I'm not 100% on that. And he finally made his debut, and the more and more he wrestled, the more and more he got good, to the extent where people would come to 4FW, people from everywhere, and they'd be like, oh my god, that guy is phenomenal. He headlines Ultimo Dragons, one of Ultimo Dragons promotions in Mexico, in like a massive arena. He did a few tours in Michinoku Pro. Just honestly, great worker. And once again, so easy to work with. Like, if I train with him, he'll literally do my reversals for me. I don't even have to do anything. It's just effortless. He's just slick. So good. So good. I would love for more people to see what Tiger Ali, Sami Zayn and the Saints can do like over the next few years, because I feel like they've not been showcased a lot in the UK scene, and I'd like to be the person to do that because they're all dear friends of mine. So yeah, I'm biased, but then at the same time, I think they're great workers.
I think that's why I like Wrestling Society so much, is the fact that they're willing to help use, yourself especially. You're willing to use your promotion as a catapult to help these guys be seen more. I know they're your personal friends as well, but you're smart enough to know that these guys are ridiculously talented, and you supplement that with the Cardiff show, which is it's quite a big deal, this Cardiff show, isn't it? This is not a small time show. It's going to be in a fairly big arena, big names, big talent. The poster's already dropped, which I'll endeavor to throw up here, although it won't look nearly as good because obviously it's portrait. But it's that thing of there is so much there available for people in terms of wrestling in that region, and you're the one providing that. How important is the Cardiff show to you, especially?
So I always thought, hello Adam, hello Doug, Giselle's boob.
There's a couple of good bodyguards. Giselle, my apologies to Giselle.
Yeah, they are bodyguards. Stay away from us. So I've wanted to, Cardiff's my hometown. I'm from Cardiff. I know so many people. Everyone's always like, Nad, when are you going to wrestle in Cardiff? I want to come and watch you. And the Vale Sports Arena, where we're running our show, is a venue which I always felt was just out of reach. It's such a beautiful venue. They hold a lot of boxing there. They hold a lot of celebrity events there. It has the boxing gets over 1,000 people. It's insane. And I always just thought this is just out of reach. And then I got speaking to a friend of a friend of a friend, and it just all sort of fell into place. And now we are at the Vale, and I never thought it would happen. So it's a dream come true that we are at the Vale. I always thought that I'd have to establish myself over a few years in Cardiff to get to somewhere like the Vale. Obviously, we're really going hard for promoting in order to fill the Vale. I'm doing a hell of a lot. I've posted today, I posted 2 days. I'm literally posting a few times a week, but obviously got my own businesses to run as well. Smashing the social media marketing. We're doing a few. Someone actually messaged me and said, "Oh my God, basically Sky Call Center, the actual Sky Call Center had sent out our newsletter to all their staff," and they're like, "Oh my God, you just popped up," and I'm like, yeah, literally, yeah. And there's a lot of local businesses behind us who want us to do well. So I really, really hope and pray that it does well. I'd be happy with 300 plus in there. Obviously, 1,000 to build up to would be insane, but I'm realistic as well. But yeah, anything from 300 to 500, I'd be ecstatic with.
Well, we'll be pushing the shit out of it. I say will.
Oh.
I mean, I'll be pushing the shit out of it. I don't know why I keep saying we, there's anyone else here, it's just me. But, we'll be pushing it. I'm hoping to be in attendance for that because June's pretty quiet for me anyway. And that's obviously a big day. I believe that's June the 8th. And that's
No, June the 12th.
June the 12th, excuse me.
Yeah.
My calendar is all over the place. I haven't had enough sleep, obviously. But it's that thing of already you can't see all of them on the post. Obviously, Nadia Sapphire, Giselle Shaw, who is a megastar, not to mention probably one of the most beautiful human beings inside and out in our business. Doug Williams, an absolute legend, TNA champion. X Division champion. Adam Maxted, probably the most handsome man in wrestling. So there's that.
I can be friends. That's what I thought. I thought Adam Maxted needs to go on the poster because I thought when the mums are looking at this poster, I'm like, gosh, I bring my kids there, should I not? They'll look at Adam and they're like, right, we're going to take him now. So
your sex appeal, but also don't sleep on the guy. Incredible talent.
He's wicked.
Stupidly good at wrestling, stupidly good. I feel bad for him because I don't see him as the Love Island guy. I see him as Adam Maxted, the insane wrestler. He's another guy I'd love to have on because he's just such a talented individual.
I think he's come away from the Love Island stuff, but the reason I put Love Island on there is because I'm trying to appeal to not just wrestling fans. Yeah. I'm trying to appeal to your normal people who go for a night out in Cardiff. And I'm like, okay, what do most people our age watch Love Island, so it just makes sense to put that there, you know. But
obviously I don't, but it's not really my cup of tea. I mean, yeah, no, I can't
literally,
really.
like, my sister loves Love Island, for example. She always watches Love Island. So as soon as I said, "Oh, do you know this guy?" She's like, "Yeah, I know him from Love Island." But when you show her the wrestlers, she doesn't know. The only one she knows is Giselle, because obviously Giselle's like our family. But you know, other than that, she doesn't watch wrestling. But as soon as she's Love Island, someone who's just like, as soon as she Adam's face, someone who's just walking around who's watching Love Island will notice them. Like, "Oh, you know what? I'll come watch wrestling." And then they'll see it and they'll fall in love with wrestling. That's the plan.
Well, the hope is as well. I think people need to realize, yeah, it's a wrestling show first and foremost, but it is an all-round evening of entertainment. You will have so many different characters and so many different personalities. It is a special night out, and there's obviously going to be loads of things available, like food and drink and stuff like that as well.
Yeah.
Which was something I always loved about 4FW. And the other person that you can't see him, but you can definitely see his name, is Lance Cole, who I'm really excited about because I've had Lance on my podcast. Huge fan.
Yeah.
Yeah, like only audio, unfortunately. We need to get him back on because he's too good looking to only be an audio podcast. He is a wonderful person. Yeah, no, I love Lance Cole. Like, I've got a lot of time for Lance.
Nice person. I met him at Varsity Pro Wrestling. I used to work for them a lot. And once again, the people at Varsity Pro Wrestling had the same mentality as the FFW people. And that's why I first met Sky Smithson. When Sky Smithson was first breaking into wrestling, me and her were wrestling a lot of times there. And then she started coming to wrestle for FFW as well. So we were wrestling each other a lot early on in her career. They had the same mentality as us. They were just all so respectful. And I always remember Lance Cole and another guy called Rob Holt. And I was just like, you know what? These are just nice people. They deserve to be booked because not only are they talented, but they're nice. They're genuine people. And Doug's a gent. Like, literally, I've known Doug since I was about 15 years old. I've gone to seminars all the time. And once again, always been a gent, always been so lovely, so kind, willing to help, willing to not judge in training. And I just love Doug. Like, he's such a great person. He always, like, you know, for the last 8 years or so, he's always checked in with me, made sure I'm okay and everything. He's just lush. Love Doug.
Yeah, I mean, he's Doug Williams. Like, you don't have to say anything else. He's Doug Williams.
Like, just the name is just like, Doug Williams on the show. You have to come. Like, yeah, I was actually thinking about it today. I was thinking, like, because obviously, like, I remember, like, when he retired and now he's back, and like, I was just thinking, like, it's just so lush having Doug on this show and hopefully to have him on more shows, because it's just like I feel like any person who wrestles him will learn off of him.
Yeah, no question. Like, Doug Williams is, for me, like, I'll probably never, unfortunately, have the chance to wrestle Doug. I know that he's not going to be around too much longer. And it's one of those things of, like, I don't think I'll have the chance to work on a show with him, which is really awesome anyway. But it's that thing of, like, every wrestler should aspire to work with Doug at least once before they wrap it up, like, because it is such an incredible learning experience. And you get to also say that you've shared the ring with one of the all-time greatest wrestlers that our country's ever produced. So that's enough in its own right. I appreciate that. Obviously, when you're looking this fly, you need to go out and drunk and have a good time, and, you know, terrified.
My hair's dropped. If you noticed, it was up there and now it's dropped. I told you his heels always drop.
I think it looks.
Oh, well.
It looks on point, to be fair. So, Nadia Sapphire, I love you dearly, as you know. We'll probably chat very soon, and we'll get you back on to talk about wrestling conspiracies a lot more and things like that. But
God, wrestling conspiracies. I've got a food for thought. You know the one which I was telling you about yesterday. Can we just ask whether anyone's actually seen this, which I'm on about? So back in 2012, 2013 time, when the Bellas and Paige were on WWE, if you was watching Raw, there'd be a Raw advert. On the Raw advert, it'd be like the ad, like, sorry, in between the advert when Raw was like, you know, like in between type of thing.
yeah,
and for like 30 seconds, this Raw thing would be on. Anyway, as the A was going brighter and brighter, it would come in, and the Illuminati symbol would go in, and when you paused it, the Illuminati eye and the thing was there, and literally I was like, oh my god, that's crazy. So I found it on YouTube, and literally I was like, oh my god, I found this and that. Anyway, I've gone back to find it last year. It's gone.
Well,
why is it taken away?
luckily for you, Well, you sent it to me, didn't you? Luckily, so what I'll do is I'll, for the benefit of people watching this on YouTube, it will actually be on the screen. So watch it. If this podcast gets taken down, then you know that I've So just so we're clear. If Aeron Nix disappears in the next few weeks, then it's not an accident. Nobody's going to make you disappear. You're too important at this point, mate. That's not happening. They're not going to make somebody that important disappear, but someone like me, expendable.
Well, a lot of people have disappeared, so who knows?
You never know. You never know. I'm looking forward to all the people calling me a conspiracy nut. But don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, as well, the comments are open and you can leave comments. Obviously, let us all know how beautiful and wonderful Nadia is, because everyone's going to say that, because that's just goes without saying. But most importantly as well, Nadia is more than happy to come back on, which is really cool because she doesn't have that much time to spare at all in life.
Yeah, I don't actually
for podcasts.
I've actually turned down loads of podcasts recently, but I wanted to come on Aeron's because I said to him, like, we have phone calls, and I'm like, why aren't our phone calls recorded? Because we have great conversations.
Probably so I don't get killed by the Illuminati, that's why.
Yeah, that's why he's trying to save himself. So this is how we catch up now. Literally the only time we catch up is on podcast.
Well, it's awesome to have you on. Thank you for giving me your time. I know that like we're friends and that, but
thank you for having me. It's
awesome having you on. It really is. Quickly, do you want to plug your social media? Because that's obviously very
so my Instagram is Nadia Sapphire. My Twitter is Nadia_Sapphire. I think my TikTok's Nadia_Sapphire, I think, but just search me, you'll find it. YouTube is youtube.com/Nadia Sapphire. And then OnlyFans is OnlyFans/Nadia_Sapphire. You got it all.
I was going to say, another lesson to wrestlers, keep it all the bloody same, like Nadia does. That's called being a professional. It's bloody annoying, like having 3 names. Nightmare. So, but yeah, check out all those social media links. And if you did miss them for any reason, don't worry, don't panic. They're in the description of the podcast. And if you listen to the audio, it's on there as well on the description. So keep that in mind. Nadia Sapphire, you are as beautiful as you were the first day I met you. And I'm very grateful to call you a friend. Thank you very much for coming on the Wrestle Plug.
Thank you so much.
It's been an absolute pleasure. Don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, follow Nadia Sapphire and don't be too thirsty, but follow Nadia Sapphire. And most importantly, have a good day. Look after yourselves, and we'll catch you very soon. Content from the Wrestle Plug. I'm not going to blow a kiss because that's just not what people want. So,
it's not for me. Blow one. Come on.
No, I'll blow one to you. There you go.
That's all you guys.
So, no, you're not getting none. You lot out there, like, no, you got one from Nadia Sapphire. You don't need one from me.